Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to another weekday edition of Red Sox Now. We do it Monday through Friday. It's all presented by Fan Arch here on YouTube. I'm Mike Antonellis. Can't thank you enough for the subscriptions. They are up, up, up. Should I check live where we're at? We are at 1,600 subscribers. Wow. I did not look at that until now. 1.6K. And we got to that yesterday. And we probably got 300 subscribers yesterday. So for those watching that had not subscribed, and I gave you the drill, you know the drill. Subscribe. We're counting down towards 2,000, but my goal of 3K, that's what we want to do on the last game of the Red Sox season. So I appreciate that. If you could hit the subscribe, leave your comments. We'll do those at the end of the show. If you're new, you see the things on the side. We'll get to those. I try to wear a different hat every day. I worked for the Portland Sea Dogs, their broadcaster, 15 years. This was one of our July 4th caps, Stars and Stripes. So I'll rock that. I don't even know how I got this. You know how I might have got this? This is kind of interesting. At the end of the year, the last game of the year, when you're at home, players absolutely bolt. Like I'll be in my post-game show, and the players are already in their car. Sometimes they leave brand new things in their lockers, and we take it. And I think this is what I got. It's not technically stealing. It's cleaning up, and just happened to end up with mine. But I actually think that this was they used to give us hats. So, hats are still cool. So is this show. So are all of you. The Red Sox are winning. And I love what they're doing on this trip. They're taking care of business. TCB. Last night was kind of one of those grind-out games. Kyle Bradish is good. A lot of strikeouts, though. We'll get to that. But that's an arm, I didn't realize, the injuries. I knew with Baltimore, they were definitely young. They did not perform well at the beginning of the year. But losing an arm like that, they lost their number 3 starter, could argue their number 2. And they haven't recovered. But that's a good arm. I think Baltimore is set up nicely for next year. Lou Merlone talked about that, but I agree with Lou. But that was one of those games. He was quick. Man, oh, man, 225 again. Giolito was great. He was better than great. He was awesome. Gives you 8 innings. And isn't baseball strange? If you watch that game, Beavers and left kind of messed up. I don't know what happened on that ball Hamilton hit. I thought it was weird Hamilton got a double on that. Technically it is. I don't think it should have been because he was under it. I get he didn't touch it, but come on. This is a major league game here. That was as bad a play in the outfield. I don't know why they don't give team errors, but let's just have common sense. David Hamilton did not deserve a double on that. And I don't care about, the left fielder just misplayed it. He didn't lose in the lights. But what happened was you could obviously see on that ball that was popped up, there was no communication because the left fielder, I don't think ever called for it. I think Gunnar Henderson, who went out, just assumed. And Gunnar Henderson going out, I think confused the left fielder. But that ball dropped. And that happening, playing the game the right way, that mistake allowed the Red Sox to not use Chapman. He was going to pitch the ninth, and now they have him for today. And then you have Crochet tomorrow. Do you see how defense has so many layers to it if you mess up? Beavers was 1 for 3 with a double. I'd rather him go 0 for 4 and make that catch. Even if he went 3 for 4 without knocking in a run, we would be all in on that. But that one misplay ruined the game for Baltimore. One play. That's what you have to play the game the right way. And then, when this all really comes to the table is in postseason. And you go, oh, yeah. Because most teams that are in postseason are pretty good in doing all those little things. And then you make one mistake that might lose you a game in the playoffs, and it's immediately, yeah, you know what? We probably need to be built better defensively. Yes. I think the Red Sox have gotten a lot better. Not perfect, but they've gotten a lot better. 2 more hits for Story. He had a home run. It's 83 RBIs. Outside chance at 100. That'd be tough, with 29 games left. I mean, he could. Can you imagine that? He's 21 homers. Say he gets to 25 homers, knocks in 100, and steals 30, and plays the defense he does. No one's really talked about him as an MVP. I get it, maybe because of the average, but if you think about the position, elite defender. That's a position that offensive expectations, now they've changed, right? It's not the old school shortstop, the switch hitter, skinny, all defense like the Ozzie Smith, Gary Templeton. It changed in the A-Rod, Nomar, even Jeter a little bit. But, I mean, it used to be where you got nothing power-wise from that position. It's changed, right? It is no doubt changed. But if you think about expectations at shortstop, all the positions have different job titles and expectations. That position has to play. If you're going to be a championship team, you have to have an elite shortstop defensively. You have no chance. No chance. They have that. He can run. He has power. He has a lot of RBIs. I'm not saying if any of you say to me, he's not close to being an MVP. And I'm not saying he is, but I'm just saying, like, you'd have to think about him for the team. And I think Bregman and even, Crochet to me, because you're nowhere without him. But think about Story for what you're asking. If he gets to 100 RBIs, nobody would have thought that. Comeback player of the year, absolutely. Unsung hero, those awards, 10th player. I mean, yeah, the strikeouts high, yes. Yep. But I think what you're asking, what your expectations, I'm okay with what he's been, more than okay. I shouldn't say okay. I'll take this in a heartbeat. 260-ish, elite defense, 20-plus homers, 20-plus bags, 80-plus RBIs. Great stuff. David Hamilton had another home run last night. He's up to 4. I don't know what got into him. You know how I feel. I like David Hamilton, but when he came back to Worcester, man, he looked like a man on a mission. He must have known he was going to go back up, but he was easily the best player on the field in those, 5-6 games he played? 5 games? And, good to see different guys stepping up. And Justin Wilson closed it out. But 8 innings from Giolito, 4 hits, a walk, and 8 strikeouts. So you see on the title here, pressing the Jays. Because we do, and I do this too. I mean, I am just as guilty of focusing on just the wild card. But the Jays have to be going, man, oh man. I mean, we're near the best record. Those guys are still kind of on our heels. Same with the Yankees. But the Red Sox are 4 out of the division. And now they've got the 3rd best record in the AL. They're a half game ahead of Houston. It doesn't matter because they're not the 3rd seed, but still, for the show, it's worth talking about. The Yankees, taking care of business, just that 3 of 4. You needed that because you're only a half game ahead of them because they're playing Washington right now. And all of a sudden, the Yankees have won 3 in a row. Seattle lost. And I don't think anything's changing there. Boston, New York, Seattle, to me, with 29 games left, I think are the wild card. Yes, I'm going to just say it. I have no problem. I don't think Kansas City, I know they're 3 back. I just don't see it. So I'm going to write it in ink, and I think in the National League, it's the same thing. Cincinnati now is 3.5 out. They're the closest. Chicago, San Diego, the Mets, with some jumbling, San Diego could win the division, which would put the Dodgers in the wild card. I think the 12 playoff teams are set in stone right now on August 27th. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I am going to make a decision, and I'm going to do that. But great stuff from Giolito. Let's get into a little bit more of what he's done. I had concerns, like I think it was warranted, maybe. He was hurt as well, if you think about it, his season. But confidence-wise with Crochet and Bayo, I would, up here. And then as a third starter, I'm like, well, I want to see a little bit more of it because Giolito, there was some games where he wasn't giving you a ton of innings, but that has changed. He's had 2 8-inning performances, and if you go from June 10th, he has solidified himself. And we want to talk about writing it in pen or putting it in stone. A 8-1 record in his last 14 starts with a 2.31 ERA. Opponents hitting .204 against them, 72 strikeouts, 85 2/3, 10 home runs allowed out of 26 runs allowed. So 10 homers, 26 runs given up over those 14 starts. You want to see improvement. Now, this is a similar story, I think, to Trevor. No pun intended there. Injured guys, right? What was his season like last year? He didn't have one. He didn't pitch since 23. So I thought, and then he didn't pitch till April 30th. Some setbacks. And he had some tough games early in the year. But very similar to Trevor Story, where it took a little bit for him to get going. So every player, pitcher, you can't, and that's why I talk about, I don't like the black and white situations because this is different. I know he's making a lot of money and all that. But you have to kind of look at where he was as a player. And think about this. His season he's having is one of his best since 2020. His best year, he was 14-9 and 19 with the White Sox with a 3.41 ERA. He's got a 3.47 ERA right now. Has a chance to have one of his best seasons he's ever had. So the Red Sox, who took a shot at him, think about when this happened. Oh, we're going to sign a guy that's injured. We're going to pay him not to pitch. Has it been worth it? Absolutely. Because we look at finding starters. Do you see why teams do things like this? Sign a Patrick Sandoval. I know we get frustrated with signing guys that aren't pitching and they're injured, but do you see why they do it? Because it is incredibly difficult to find it. And now, the Red Sox have some injuries piling up that, it concerns me. What are you going to do about it? It happens this time of year. But do you see why they go out and find guys in like Patrick Sandoval? Could end up being, say you go into next year, and I don't know what's going to happen with Giolito, but say you do move on from him. And Tolley, to me, is going to be in the rotation. And it's Crochet, Bayo, Tolley, Sandoval, and you go out and buy a fifth starter. Or buy whoever. Say you do sign Framber Valdez. Say you did that next year. With Crochet, Bayo, Valdez, Tolley, and Sandoval. That'd be pretty good. And it'd be worth it. So for me, it's worth every penny to lock up a guy that you think can help you in the rotation because it's so hard. And it costs you a year and it costs you some money. But if you get to the playoffs, which he is helping you, think about this. He's 9-2. He's helping you. It's worth it. I think it's worth every penny. I know people were sitting there last night, and I was a little bit too. I was like, okay, guys, enough with the strikeouts. I thought it was a little bit, some of those at-bats last night were annoying. Duran had another tough night. He looks like he's fighting it a bit. He's definitely fighting it. Roman Anthony, who leads the club in strike, this is remarkable. This is more modern than ever. Guys that struck out a lot when I was a kid usually did not even remotely hit for an average. The guys that struck out a lot. And I can dig out Rob Dearson when I think about. But if they struck out 100-plus times, they usually were not even near 250. Roman Anthony's hitting 301 this month despite 30 strikeouts. That is pretty remarkable. But, And I know what we're doing. If we face, in the playoffs, you're going to face really good arms. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But it's interesting. If you look at, I just had this and I lost it. I can bring this up real quickly. The strikeout leaders, this is remarkable. Toronto has struck out 891 times on the year. That is far and away the best. There's only 3 teams in baseball that have not struck out 1,000 times. Toronto and San Diego are one. One of them. Kansas City's second. But Toronto at 891, you're at 1177, which is the 5th most in baseball. But the American League, it's interesting because it's just weird how this works. Seattle, Detroit, Boston, and New York are all huge strikeout teams. Seattle is second in the AL. Detroit is third. You're fourth. New York is sixth. Angels have struck out the most. But Toronto being at 891 surprised me. That's a little over 6 a game. Red Sox are almost 9 a game. I like the teams that put the ball in play in the playoffs. You have to. So, yeah, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. But that is interesting to look at. But there's a chance, obviously, that in the playoffs, you could be playing those teams that strike out just as much as you. So, but, I thought some of those at-bats last night were, ugh. It happens. It's kind of how they're built. But, I think going forward, I can take the strikeouts from the power hitters. That's going to happen. Hamilton didn't strike out. It was him and Lowe were the only ones. But Duran, Anthony, those guys, of course, they know this. But Duran, if you're going to hit third, you can't have, he does strike out a lot. I didn't realize how many strikeouts he's had. 160 last year. Wow. He has 140 this year in 130 games. That's a lot. So I know that's where the game's going. I know that this theory that strikeouts aren't bad. I don't. Some of the analytics stuff drives me absolutely nuts. There's no such thing as that. I've asked baseball people. They do not agree with that. I heard something on Sunday Night Baseball. I'm not going to say who said it because it's not fair. I say dumb things on the radio. And it was a factual thing. I just don't agree with it, that the Red Sox have made we can check this out. Defensively, the Red Sox have made the most errors in baseball. No, in the American League. They are, actually now they're the most. They've made the most in baseball, but the announcer said, but metric-wise, they're a better defensive team than that. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't care what any metric shows me. If you make 100 errors, Texas has made 41. You are not a good defensive team if you lead the league in errors. I don't care what any metric says, and no one will ever convince me. And it's not me being old and, not adapting. That's not true. Trust me, I adapt. I've been for rule changes before, a lot of people my age. I just don't agree with how you can make that many errors and still be looked upon as a great defensive team. So when I heard that Sunday, I chuckled. They've been much better. Let's see, since June 30th, they have the best ERA in baseball. Oh, boy, this stats thing I have is really cool. And, they've still made a lot of errors. Let's see this month. No. They have made, near the most again. Teams that are heavy error teams this month. St. Louis, bad. Cincinnati, been losing. Pittsburgh, San Francisco. So, but I got a kick out of that. I always get a kick out of your comments from Tuesday. Let's get the drum roll. Comments. At Adam Bray, 1529, a new arm like Tolley. this time of year would be huge. Hitters are getting in a groove this time of season while most pitchers are wearing down, so a fresh arm of Toley's caliber would be help. Yeah, but do remember it's his first year. Okay, look at things that aren't statistical. All right, he's young. It's his first year. I do think he can handle the big leagues, but it is still different. You know, when you throw pitches up there, there's a little more pressure on that arm than there is in the minors. So I get what you're saying, but this is still, a lot on him. But what will happen? I want to work off Adams. I already had this plan with Adams' comment. The Richard Fitz injury is, Dobbins was huge. And then I thought you had, and I know if you guys watch the show religiously, you've heard me say how things can change. The Dobbins injury was huge. And then Criswell getting hurt is huge. I don't know what his status is. And now Fitz might be out longer. And so you're losing starters. Harrison was pulled out of the Woo Sox game last night over 38. Will he go when they need a rotation guy? Maybe. I would think all indications say that. He is on the 40-man. I don't love it. It's a guy that even last night, almost 40 pitches in 3 innings, which is better for him, but it takes him a lot. He's almost at 100 pitches for 5 innings in AAA. So I don't know how that will look in the big leagues. In the big leagues, he might be hard-pressed to get 3, but sometimes things are weird, guys. He's been in the big leagues, so I don't know how, I've watched the starts, but he still could be pitching a little bit different in AAA, working on things more. But, it's been a struggle for him for a while now to get through. So we'll see. But other than that, Tyler Uberstein, you guys know I like him. I would love for him to get a shot. I really would. And then it's Toley. And last night, pregame, Alex Cora said they have not discussed this. But you're thin now. If Fitz is out for the year and you don't have Criswell, which he hasn't even, he's hurt. So, he's not available now. He hasn't thrown. You're in a little bit of an issue. There's an issue there. That's why I said yesterday, I claim Andrew Haney, who's just DFA'd by the Pirates. I claim anybody right now. You're in that territory right now. It changed quickly. But the Fitz and Criswell injuries are huge. Huge. Fitz looked really good in that last couple of innings. And that's what you wanted from a 5, the way he threw strikes. That's a tough one. And you guys know how I feel about Fitz. I was all for him going up. But we'll see today. He's going to see someone Friday in Boston. So, stinks. At SN500-N4V. Hey, Mike, agree with Matz was a nice pickup. Happy to see Wong hitting. Good things for happening. Who's going to go when we activate Slayton? Well, that's a good point. I think right now they could flop Moran. Moran took Fitz's spot. So I would think Slayton would take Moran's spot. You're still short a starter. So you need a starter before September 1st. So they'll have to make a move if Harrison comes up. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I don't know if Buehler goes on the injured list or Hicks gets sent down. And then over on the position player side, when Refsnyder comes off, it will be Garcia down. And then you add Abreu. I think you just add Abreu and Eaton stays. That will be your extra position player. So they could send somebody down for a couple of days, like a paper move, because then so Slayton could come up for Moran, Harrison could come up for somebody, and then September 1st call that player back up. So it's not going to be like these sexy moves in September like you think. We all know that at Peterson88 Keys with a Z. We all know if the Sox DFA Buehler, he'll get picked up by LA and go back to being unhittable overnight. I don't think so. I know that's the material everyone goes to when someone if the Red Sox lose someone. You've gotten a lot of players that have been a lot better with you. That did not end well with the Dodgers. I know that did not end well. I don't think they DFA him. I think he'd be put on the injured list before it. So we'll see. Great show. Thank you. Comments, as always, subscribe to the channel. Follow me at the Radio Mike on social media. I'm one of the radio and TV broadcasters for the Woo Sox. They activated Shane Drowan yesterday from the 60 days, so he's back pitching. So we'll enjoy the game tonight with Brian Bayo on the bump and Crochet tomorrow. I mean, the Red Sox are set up. They could sweep this 4-game series. Dietrich Enns, former Tigers, on the hill. So have yourself a great Wednesday and go Sox.